Hi, so today we're going to talk about the annotated bibliography, which is your first major assignment in the progression of assignments for English 112. So we have this sort of infographic here, this visual of the progression of things that we're going to do in 112. And the first thing that you did was to choose a topic. And so now we're going to do some research and collect that research into an annotated bibliography. And an annotated bibliography is sort of a tool that researchers use. I told you earlier in the semester that researchers sometimes can research the same topic for an entire career, and it can become very difficult to try to compile that research and keep track of it. And so one way that we do that as researchers is to use an annotated bibliography, which is a lot to say. I think it's a bit of a mouthful. But at any rate, this is your first major assignment. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of the assignment here with this Prezi. Um, so a little bit back and forth here. So here's the assignment. We have our SLOs here at the top, and then here are the nuts and bolts of the assignment. So I'm just going to read it through for you and talk about a few things as I go. So research is a process, just like writing is, and it requires that we dig and read and examine different perspectives on the same issue, and then we look at those resources critically. And so there are um, several different ways that we can talk about research. So we can talk about it as sort of um, like a Rubik's Cube. You want to look at it from all sides. You don't want to just look at it from one side. Um, so you don't want to just look at one perspective when you're doing research. You want to make sure that you look at all perspectives. So, for example, if you're doing research on an issue that it takes place in nursing, then you don't want to just get the nurse's perspective. You want to get perspectives from administration, like hospital administration. You want to get perspectives from people who are patients of nurses. You want to try to get all what we call all the stakeholders' perspectives. And so, you want to try to look at the issue from all the different angles. We also can talk about it we might use the language of a lens, like putting on a different pair of glasses and looking at it from a different perspective that way. We want to look at it with resources, and we want to look at our resources critically. The annotated bibliography helps us to organize our research and our thoughts about that research. You can find more information regarding annotated bibliographies at the Purdue Online Writing Lab. I've given you this as a resource in the Basic Writing Principles resource that I gave you earlier. That was a link there. If you go to the Purdue OWL website, you can just type in annotated bibliography and you can get a little lesson or a little source that they have for you there. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to collect 10 articles or sources. Now, um, as a rule, most people or most researchers who are creating an annotated bibliography, they call it a live document. That means that they're constantly adding to it. But we're going to just do 10 articles or sources. Now, if you want it to be a live document in that you continue to add to it after the 10 for your own benefit as you're doing research, then that's fine. You don't have to continue to add to it for me. I'm only going to collect the 10 that you have to turn in for your grade. But you can do with it what you want after you turn it in to me. You can continue to use it if you want to. So you're going to collect 10 sources or articles um, that are focused on your topic. I do encourage you to look ahead at the proposal assignment because it helps to know what you're going to need to look for that assignment as you're doing your research now. For example, in your proposal, you're going to need to write a section on solutions that have already been tried um, for solving the problem or issue that you're researching. So if you know that ahead of time, then as you're doing your research, you can start looking for that. Try to pick articles and resources from a variety of places. You don't want them all to come from the same place or the same source. You may also include videos, movies, blogs, etc. However, you also want to balance those resources with credible research and articles from academic journals and other databases. For each resource, first type the full APA citation. So when you're creating an annotated bibliography, there are two components. There's the bibliography component, which is the citation. And then there's the annotated component, which is the paragraph or the summary of the source. And I'll show you an example in just a minute. So then you're going to write a paragraph about the article, and the paragraph should describe the article's point of view and the point that the author is trying to make. And it should be a specific summary, but shouldn't try to restate every point in the entire article. The paragraph should also include several sentences about your assessment or evaluation of the article or resource written in third person. Remember, we talked about this. There's a little section on this in that basic writing principles resource or video. Make sure that you're writing in third person. This means that you're not using pronouns like I, me, we, or you. You're taking yourself out of this, out of the writing. This is good practice because remember, formal writing is written in third person. So what does it bring? What does the resource bring to your particular understanding of your topic? Are there any places where the article fails to make its point? Does the article leave you with more questions about the subject? This paragraph will help you when you begin writing longer paragraph papers, as you'll be able to return to the annotated bibliography and quickly flip through the resources instead of rereading them all. Think of the annotated bibliography, like I said before, as a tool for you to use as the researcher, and it helps you organize your research. It may also help you to see where you need to conduct more research. If you find that several of your sources leave you with the same questions, then you might want to dig further to find more resources on that part of your topic. You may want to use the source evaluation worksheet that you did last week for all of your sources if you found that helpful. And let me also point out that the sources that you did last week, you may use as part of your annotated bibliography. So you've already done part of the work here. You just need to take those sources and those paragraphs and put them in the correct format for the annotated bibliography. So the articles and resources that you choose for your annotated bib are not the only articles and resources that you'll be allowed to use for the class. This is only a stepping stone. If you, as you begin to write other papers, feel like you need to add more sources or do more digging, then you are certainly welcome to do that. So here are the nuts and bolts of the assignment. You need to annotate 10 articles and resources that you found while researching your topic. Organize them in alphabetical order as you would an APA reference page. That's typical for anything that you do regarding citations, and it's the same for an annotated bibliography. The entire paper should be typed double-spaced. Use Times New Roman 12 font. Use correct APA format for your citations and for the paper. Remember to include a title page with your name and include page numbers, title header on each page, include a title, write in third person. This is a high stakes writing assignment, and use the Purdue OWL website, the textbook, or your JCC librarians to help you with APA format and citations. Remember that our library is very helpful. We have that chat function on our website, so you can use that to help you as well. So here's the rubric that will be used to grade your paper. It's always very, very helpful. I encourage you, for every paper you will have a rubric. Always come and look at the rubric. So in order to get the maximum number of points, you need to make sure that you have 10 sources or annotations, and you can get that 20%. Make sure that you have all credible sources. That means that they're from sources that we can trust, and that you include a mix of scholarly sources and popular sources. So there are chapters in your book that talk about the difference between scholarly and popular sources, and you're certainly, you can always look for that on that Al Purdue website, but scholarly sources are generally those sources that are peer reviewed. And you can use our databases on our website, especially at our library website, to look for those, like on NC Live. Popular sources are going to be like your magazines, your newspapers, your websites. Those are popular sources, and you want to make sure that those are credible. Scholarly sources are always credible. Popular sources are ones that you have to make sure that you're paying attention to make sure that they're credible. You want to look at the About page, make sure they don't have any hidden agendas, that type of thing. Citation format, you want to pay close attention to this to make sure that you can get all of your points here. All citations are formatted using proper APA. Citations have a proper hanging indent and are double spaced. They're organized in alphabetical order. And then you want to make sure your annotations are well written in paragraph format with good sentence structure, and that they summarize and evaluate the source and utilize proper grammar. Full annotations are provided for all 10 sources, and annotations are written in third person. So you want to make sure you have fully developed paragraphs here. 1 to 2, 3 sentences, those are not fully developed paragraphs. I also encourage you, if you want to quote in your paragraph, you can do that. But if you do quote, remember that you need to have an in-text citation, and your in-text citation should include, for APA, the author's or the author's last name, I'm sorry, or whatever is the first component of the full citation. You should have the year, and it should have the page or paragraph number um, for where that quote was taken. And then finally, your paper format. You need to make sure that your paper overall is formatted correctly in APA, that you have that title page and all of that, and that it is all formatted correctly. So this is the rubric that will be used to assess your paper overall. And so here's a sample paper, and this is also found on the website, on our Blackboard site in the sample paper section. This is the sample title page. Um, it's the standard APA. And then this is what an annotated bibliography looks like. So you have your citation. This is an APA. Notice that it's in alphabetical order. We start with a B citation, and the next is next in line for alphabetical order. So you have your citation first with your hanging indent. A lot of students get this backwards. They'll have the first line indented and the other lines left justified. That's not how this works. The first line should be left justified and the other lines should be indented. And so this can get a little bit tricky. Um, so make sure that you're doing this correctly. And then you have your paragraph here. And notice how full this paragraph is. This is a pretty full paragraph. And this particular student did quote, which I really appreciate. And notice that there are no extra spaces between any of the citations or the paragraphs. It should just flow all the way through. So we have citation, paragraph, citation, paragraph. And then I didn't include all the pages. You can go look at all the pages if you want on our web page, on our Blackboard page. But I just included the first 3 pages for you to get a good look at what this looks like. So if you have any questions, of course, let me know. This is your first major paper, so of course I know you want to do a great job on it. And I think research is fun. I love the research component. It's one of the most exciting parts for me. I can get into a rabbit hole when I'm researching and I just forget. And I look up and it's been, 3, 4 hours because I've been just getting into the fun stuff. So do manage your time well, though, because we are on a little bit of a time crunch as we have all of these other fun things to do up here. But happy hunting, happy researching, and I look forward to reading your annotated bibs.